great electric systems that we're all hoping, are much more reliable than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, so especially after the first flight where it wasn't so reliable and everything kind of got together. And we also have the potential documentation mentioning that they might end up jettisoning that hot stage ring as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. I'm wondering if that's just temporary. Maybe it's talking about that for some prototypes as they try to figure out whether this hot staging thing is going to work, or whether they go to some other booster cut-off and stage set type system similar to Falcon 9. I don't know if they're 100% committed to hot staging right down the line, or whether this is kind of a bit of a trial and error system. So I'm almost taking it with a grain of salt what we saw in that document. It'll be interesting to see. I think if it all goes smoothly, that might be the answer, and then all of a sudden it may just become a more permanent fixture. They might still need to pull it on and off all the time, because obviously you've got all the mechanisms underneath the actuators and things to get to, so it may always be a second thing that they can pull on and off, but it'll probably become a part of the booster if already.
We've certainly seen them pull it on and off.
Oh my God!
Not for sure. And just the last week or two, nothing else. It's 8 stacks now.
The other thing to consider with that is that it's obviously a system that's going to take a bit of punishment. So if anything, maybe it's a refurb, or maybe they just sort of take that off to add a new layer of steel or heat shielding or something. I don't know. I guess they're just trying to make sure that it works first, and then see how they get.
There you go. Along the lines we have Tom Muller high water with the 69 pounds asking is the collapse of the high change rating a possibility? I don't think so right at takeoff market, but I think it could be something that is a risk.
Yeah, I mean, I think due to the scale again, it can be a bit easy to sort of think, oh man, it looks so flimsy. When you sort of look at it from this scale, it sort of looks like a little thing that's just going to crumple in half. But I think if you were to sort of really get in there close and sort of look at the size of a lot of those support structures, the vertical ones and the horizontal ones in there as well, I think you'd probably find that they're much more beefy than they actually look. If you compare it to, say, the rest of the rocket, or a lot of the rocket, a lot of these strings are quite beefy. So I suspect they've done all the testing they need to on that. I'll be surprised if it crumples. I think it's, if anything, they're probably over for this initial version. I'm not concerned that they do separate cleanly about shredding the top of the boost to the point where it can't make its way back to land. That's what I'm sort of, got my fingers crossed about. That's going to be interesting to see.
Definitely one of the main keys to watch for, especially at that ignition as the separation of the two vehicles. That's going to be fun and scary at the same time, I think. But that's a little further down the timeline here. So as we hit 2 hours and 30 minutes until we open our window, Adrian, you might give me a what's still to come in the timeline?
Absolutely, Michael. So as we get our usual kind of time, the next thing that we would have is actually also SpaceX confirmed timeline, because we now have the tower band, we have the OLM band. So the next thing that would happen is actually the polling of SpaceX itself to confirm they are going for propellant loading, which is basically the final step that they will perform. Before then, the tower band and the OLM vent will get stronger and stronger as they increase the pre-shot lines, and then at 1 hour and 37 minutes run by the SpaceX timeline, they will start the booster propellant loading, and quickly after that, 20 minutes later, they will shift back on the field. So basically, after that, it's all about learning the signal, making it sure to go step by step, because you don't want to realize that last stage, and then of course you also need to shut down your engines, because every part of the system somehow needs to shut down, otherwise you risk to fire shot part of the system, which let's say unpleasant climate effect. This one I'm putting it. And then for 5 minutes, I was born a poor black. They will potentially make it again their whole point at 40 seconds like they did with the first flight. and then we will see fire ants activate, deluge activate, and then let's go.
Just can't wait. That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, the thrust on this is just crazy. You know, those engines, especially as the engines evolve and get more powerful, the thrust we're talking about is just nuts. So, you know, you're talking double Saturn V type stuff. It's just bananas. And, you know, propellant capacity alone, you've got to sort of think about the scale of it when it's full. There's the weight of it when it's full. It's like, I don't know, the SuperHeavy alone is I think 100 tons or something like that. 6.8 million, whatever it converts to. It's huge. It's just massive. And you know, the power on all those 33 engines plus more just to lift them at all. So you know they've got a, and you know at full thrust it's got a thrust to weight ratio above what the Saturn V had. So it's crazy. We obviously hope to see it rise from the pad much faster than we saw in the first one, because the first flight was, you know, there were wheel engines and pressure and all sorts of stuff right from the start. So yeah, this is what we want to see. I really want to be able to put the two shots together and sort of show the difference in speed as it rises past that power.
I love Electron in this shot, by the way.
I was going to say, while we're talking about heights, here's a really great comparison of just the real sizes for scale with Falcon 9, the Space Shuttle. I think to the closest one that the real rocket here is SLS, which again is just past the 1-year anniversary of. I say real rocket because Ares 1 is also listed there for some reason, 100 meters. But yeah, it's a little 18-meter Electron there. Just, it really gives you an idea of scale. Small sat launcher versus the rocket energy. So,
yeah, they might have even gained a metre or two due to the hot staging there or something. But yes, it's certainly just around that 120 metre mark. It's just huge.
I love that. As we continue to see the orbital launch mount venting going on there as things get rusty and chilly. Got a couple of super chats here that also have some questions that we'll pass along to you here. We've got Agent Hello with an interesting question from Australia. Here's $55 Australian dollars saying, assuming the launch doesn't destroy the pad, big hit there, how long do you think until we see the third test? Joining the stream from Australia, have a coffee. Thank you very much. Marcus, what's your thoughts on Flight 3? I know the discussion of maybe a month. What do you think?
I don't think that's too far out of the realms of possibility, because, you know, as long as everything actually goes to plan right up until, say, you know, well past tower clearance and downrange by kilometres or whatever, as long as it's well enough away, they've proven then that the launch pad is doing its thing, assuming that, you know, all of the water cool still system holds up beautifully. And at that point, I don't think they're going to have a problem with the launching again, regardless of if it fails anywhere after that point. And you know, we know they've got prototypes sitting there, ready, you know, very close to ready to go whenever. So I think it could happen quite quickly. If there's any sort of damage to the systems, steel plate system, maybe not. It depends how much work would need to be done there. One of the interesting points in this document we're talking about here was that, which confused a few people in my comment thread at least, was that you know, they're talking about using a certain amount of the plate for each time, you know, sort of an ablation type thing. So the thing to consider there is we're talking about across the entire plate, and you know, we're talking, you know, numbers of pounds. We're not talking about tons worth of metal going flying every launch. So I imagine what they really are referring to there is just an ablation of you know, small particles of metal that are going to be sort of screwed around. Obviously, they will just rust away and disappear, no problem. So yeah, I don't think any of those things are a concern like people were kind of making out to be. But yeah, I think as long as they don't still, as long as the launch tower, the launch mountain still play all together nicely, and you see a big thumbs up from SpaceX in a day or two, I don't see why they couldn't launch in another month. Avery's implications.
No, that's fine. We have Turtless here asking the same thing. Avery, what are your thoughts on the 1 month things are still good with Space Europe?
I think 1 month is really like the upper boundary, the upper limit, but I don't think it's impossible, which is, I mean, they need to ship, they fly an exclusion, they need to fly an ship. That is 2 tests. Then they need to perform properly wet rest rehearsal. Third one. I mean, that's kinda it. Then they are good to go. If the hardware holds, if stage 0 holds, if they can use all of this without major refurbishment, as Marcus said, the hardware is there. It's more a matter of getting that hardware to launch. And I mean, it will in the end probably slip a bit. You will have maybe some chances that there might be some regulatory work to do again if you trigger this investigation. But I don't think it would be another 7 months. Let's say it like that.
Assume that if you get past stage 7, most of the way to orbit is considered pretty successful from a regulatory point of view, as long as they can sort of determine what the, whether it was an engine failure or something. All these things, I think, can be pretty well sort of navigated through. But yeah, it's quite interesting how there's obviously a number of people that from the environmental side that have been really debating wetlands and all this stuff around it, and I found it really quite comical how quickly they turned. So this will never fly in 2023 to, they've pushed the regulation system, the staffing the regulations, FWS, FAA, negative planes.
And I totally believe in FAA and well, if they
various YouTube channels and stuff that will sort of claim, this is, the FWS and the FAA are standing in the way. I've never once believed, but not for all the years that we've been watching this now. They're working very closely together. NASA's working very closely together. And although it can take a frustratingly a large amount of time for just general government process, there's nobody physically pulling strings to say don't let this happen. I don't believe that for a second. Well, that's maybe it's personal, but it's I always really dislike these hate threats that kind of start up around it. Yeah, I think they're just doing the job that they're talking about. That's why we're seeing SpaceX back in the series and stuff, sort of really urging the government to double the capability because
one that at least it didn't slip a few months, and most of them slipped years.
Yeah. I mean, even Falcon Heavy, they first announced it in 2012, and it flew in 2018, so it took some time. Now it's a workhorse. Same Falcon 9 with all the
and there's plenty more down the line going on. So it's just good to keep in mind that time also really goes fast. Like months disappear. So wow, can you believe that was 7 months ago? Just,
It's hard to believe that first integrated flight test was only back in April, as we're now in November. That's the other thing. Even from Flight 1 to Flight 2, it feels like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, after an entire run like that, a giant hole at the bottom of your launch pad, to be up and flying again in 6 months is amazing.
yeah, I mean, you've just got to remember how much they've done there. The base of Japan was all but destroyed. They had that sorted and the steel cooled plate system installed. It seemed like a blink of an eye. We had maybe a couple of months of work on it. And it was being tested. It's like, geez, that's crazy. When you think about the scale of that, it's crazy.
I have to admit, after the first launch, I was one of the doubters that said there's no way they're launching anything. I fully admit that. And once I saw the crater, and once I saw the whole overall situation, I was like, this is gonna need a year or so to fix. And being here 7 months later, I think that's quite cheap.
Well, I think so too. And look, I think originally the fear was that maybe it had actually damaged the legs of the LLM as well, which would have been a much bigger task. But it did damage to a degree. They were able to sort of repair all that huge hole in the work. So that was a great sign as well. But when you sort of saw some of the aerial shots there, looking here somewhere out of that, really cleared the part.
I'm very happy with my work, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
I do want to mention some messages here. We have one from Justin Todd saying, NSF and March have one stream. I'm one of dreaming. Between the two, keep Justin and all these commercials thank you so much. Thanks to Justin, and again, Mark, thanks for being here on the stream today.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's been a while since I've been on it. It's been a bit of a wait till all these things get involved. But hopefully it's fun as well. There's going to be much more opportunity to watch these big beasts fly. I personally want to go to town there for one of these huge ones. Depends on how well this one goes. But I would love to be there for the event where they're trying to catch this booster. Because that's going to be just bananas. You get like a double event in that one. And I'm wondering when that'll be. There's a lot of debate there. I want to know what everyone's opinion here is. What flight do you think that they'll actually try to attempt to catch the booster? Is it still settled down the line, even if this one goes well? Or is it, they might actually risk it in the next 2 or 3 flights? That would be a very interesting thing to sort of see the crystal ball on. But thank you, Justin. It's nice bands that sort of cross over and things. I still find this whole thing bizarre, honestly. The attention that this gets and that we get, it's not even attention sometimes that I want, but it's like, it's an amazing opportunity. Thanks so much to everybody for being, involved in all the channels. We're coming up to excruciatingly close to 500,000 subscribers. I know you guys have been set past this a long time ago. It's like edging so closely to it. It's like, man, just a couple thousand to go. But it's I think as we've got closer and closer to these bigger events now, I think enthusiasm's certainly starting to pick back up because we've had a bit of a lull here, even before the first attempt being launched. It's just amazing. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Tuning in all over the world. It's amazing. Really amazing what we can do with technology these days.
5 months of videos all about LLM working. It's a nice cheap test.
I always love the comments that are like, I wish you would just tell me, just put a video live when it's launching, I don't need to know the details. Like, well, that would make for a very boring channel that doesn't post at all, And I really love the nitty-gritty, as we all do. I love trying to understand what are they doing and how are they engineering this to solve this problem. I find it fascinating. I don't want to show the ultra high ones. I want to show how they got to this thing. It's human. we could be witnessing the history day by day here, and you want to make sure it's all documented.
It's great to have all the channels on the faculty, including your work there too. We're not getting out yet, but to acknowledge that it's always happening. We do have some more Australian love for you. Michael Deacon saying hi from Melbourne. Since today you're walking, so that's 25.
Nice. I was in Melbourne not long ago. We've been to Queensland not long ago, so sort of sitting in Tasmania doing all the work we do here, and we can't really be too much further from the actual action. So if you really took the kilometres from Texas, you'd probably find that you can't get too much further away than Tasmania. So again, the latency and stuff we're dealing with here seems almost non-existent. So, the technology to do all this is, and that's why I love projects like Starship. It's adding this capability to these regions in Starship. It's a launch huge, massive, massive version 2 and all this sort of stuff. So, this could all be happening before we know it, assuming that these go up.
Right, in just 5 hours, they have a lot more than one videos you take now. So, it's an amazing network. And imagine, like you said, once we get the larger V2s up there, of course, the V2 that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot more capability. I can't quite recall exactly how much, but I think they were talking some order of magnitude on top of like the version 1s, 1.x, whatever they may have been. So, these are huge units. I think they're like 7 meters or something. So they'll only fit in Starship. But the minis have been quite good, and they'll certainly be launching loads of them. So.
I have a question here from Brad Goodson, who was asking us and you saying, do you have any idea as to how many tests might take place before they try to have Germany, especially before food plays? Well, how long do you think we are sent by way? I know you're worried about tension, but how far away do you think we find the launch of Starlink?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if this one goes really well. It wouldn't surprise me if we're seeing it in the next 2 or 3 missions. I think I might be interested to see whether they would have added any sort of mass simulator to one of these prototype launches. But I think they're just trying to get the maximum delta V out of it that they can, and reducing mass and not having a payload on board is probably a good move just to sort of see what your remaining tool is by the end. Basically, take that exact amount of mass and sort of say, well, we need this amount for re-entry and touchdown, and therefore we can shove this much on it pretty comfortably next time and give it a try. So I think as soon as they've got the data analysis for achieving all that, then they're going to know exactly how much mass they'll be able to kind of put on it. As far as I've seen, we've never had accurate ideas on the dry mass of this entire vehicle. I've never seen it anywhere more recently. So it's really hard to run the numbers. We've tried running delta V calculations on it to sort of see how much mass can be stored and all this sort of stuff. Without that dry mass figure, you really can't do it any justice. So I'd love somebody to disclose that. What's the way to measure both vehicles?
Again, a lot of numbers I'm sort of leaning on, especially as we are in a test future here, and it's SpaceX being a private company sharing, but not so cheap, but we do appreciate it when they we have Molly Williams here. Thank you for gifting 20 Red Team memberships. I wanted to make sure that we didn't ignore that, as well as Pete and David both coming